Mhm. Okay, let me hit play there. Am I seeing myself? Hi! Hi, everybody. Questions aplenty. I am so sorry for the delay. A different set of technical difficulties happened this week. I think part of it was, as I was saying to my intrepid tech support person, Andrew, I was saying part of it was technology's fault, and part of it was my own stupidity. I've said I'm not the most tech savvy person, but when things get going, I'm fine, off and running. So you are here for today's live chat, May 3rd, 2018. It's Bryan Barron, the Director of Skincare Research for Paula's Choice Skincare. They're in Seattle and actually all around the world. I'm by my lonesome in Michigan and my home office here. Lovely little setting. Kind of a gray overcast day today. I have all of the blinds completely up. So I've got light coming in from all sides and I still think I look like way shadowed. But, um, you know, you're not tuning in just to see me. You are tuning in to get good advice, research supported advice about skincare, at least from what I know. I'm not saying I know everything. And the moment I feel like I do know everything, I need someone to, smack me down to size. Because one of the coolest things for me about being in this line of work in one way or another for the past 20 years, actually longer than that, but 18 with Paula's Choice, is that there's always something more to learn. There's always something new to explore, new research, new ingredients, new ways of formulating. It's honestly, it's a big part of what's kept me in this field for so long, particularly at a time when a lot of people my age and a little younger are, they switch careers a lot, 5 years doing this, 10 years doing that. They might go back to school for something completely different. I'm afraid you guys are stuck with me. So I hope that's not a problem. And let's go ahead and dive into some questions here. They are just piling up. Thank you guys for joining. Okay, Aphrodite says, hello, I have rosacea. Should I avoid certain ingredients? All I know is that alcohol is absolutely terrible for me. If you're referring to denatured or SD alcohol, Aphrodite, it is terrible for everyone, but particularly with rosacea. What is thought to be happening with rosacea, which is a inflammatory disorder? It's believed to be a vascular disorder that shows on the skin, so it's actually related to your blood vessels. Skincare cannot stop rosacea. Skincare cannot cure rosacea. So it's very important for anyone who's diagnosed with rosacea to be under the care of a good dermatologist or physician who is familiar with the the pharmaceutical topical products, as well as some oral products that can be considered to control the symptoms. There are also cosmetic corrective procedures, most involving light-emitting devices that you can consider to further mitigate the visible signs of rosacea. Where skincare has a role is all about treating skin gently. Anything that you do to aggravate skin that is already having issues that are characteristic of rosacea is only going to make matters worse. So in addition to avoiding alcohol-based product, now just to be clear, I'm not talking about the fatty type of alcohols. Those are benign, those are gentle, those are used as emollients and thickeners in cosmetics. Popular examples would be cetyl alcohol, stearyl alcohol, cetyl alcohol, behenyl alcohol. If you see any of those on an ingredient list for a skincare or for a moisturizer or for a toner or something like that, those are fine. They may feel a little bit heavier if you have really oily breakout prone skin, but they're not, what the hell was that? They're not the drying types of alcohol that we warn against. The other way that skincare can help with rosacea, and by help, again, I'm referring to diminishing the visible signs of rosacea, not stopping rosacea, is anything that it has a calming influence when applied topically. Ingredients like chamomile, licorice, bisabolol, sea whip, willow herb, skin repairing ingredients, those natural skin identical substances like hyaluronic acid, glycerin, glycosaminoglycans, lecithin, cholesterol, sodium hyaluronate, phospholipids, any of the omega-3 or the omega fatty acids 369, any of those can make a big difference in the appearance of redness associated with rosacea, and those are all great to use. You want to use sun protection for sure, preferably mineral-based titanium dioxide or zinc oxide because they're so gentle. Having said all that, and I know I'm droning on about this, but rosacea is a big deal. It affects a lot of people, more so adults than children, and more women than men. Not quite sure why, but when men get rosacea, they tend to get it worse, and it tends to graduate to a type of rosacea that eventually disfigures the nose. It's called rhinophyma, I believe is how it's pronounced. You can prevent that from happening if you take early steps to get the rosacea under control medically. But you know how a lot of guys are about seeing a doctor, and they often wait until it's too late. I've been guilty of that myself. But anyway, let's see. Gentle, effective, fragrance-free. The bottom line with rosacea is that you want to do whatever you can to treat your skin gently. And what I was just about to say that I kind of blanked out on was one of the frustrating aspects of dealing with rosacea is that your particular case may prove to be sensitive to ingredients that are otherwise completely innocent. That we just 99.9% of people don't have any problem with these ingredients or ingredient, but for some reason your rosacea-prone skin reacts to it. That is where experimentation comes in. I highly recommend keeping a skincare diary. When you start using products, cut and paste or print out ingredient lists and put them into a diary so that you can track what you've been using on your skin in terms of if you do have a reaction. You kind of have to play detective and go through the process of elimination to determine what was the potential culprit. Maybe there's a certain plant extract or a certain preservative or thickening agent that you're seeing as a common thread in the product you're using, and you can say, all right, well, let's see if I look for some products that don't have these ingredients, and then lo and behold, you start using those and everything's fine. So that's the kind of detective work I'm talking about, and it can be very necessary when you have rosacea. Maybe a little bit necessary, but less so when you have acne and you're feeling like everything breaks you out. It is a little extra time and effort, of course, but with the availability of the information, 20 years ago, you'd have to literally write down everything on the back of a bottle or a box, and it's tedious, and you don't know what the heck you're writing. And now it's almost all online, so you can just print or copy and paste or compile it in a little app in your phone. Whatever you like to organize notes would be great. Okay, moving on to hopefully some faster answers here. Limesy says, hey, I use an ointment for acne scars that contains 0.1% adapalene, different cream. That's a prescription retinoid. I use this in the evening. How can I combine this with a 2% BHA exfoliant? You'd simply apply the 2% BHA exfoliant first. You do not need to wait for it to absorb, and you would follow with the different cream. And then you could finish with a serum or moisturizer or any other treatment product that you may be using for your skin type or skin concerns. It's fine to apply BHA and Differin at the same time, especially in the case of our BHAs, because they are formulated to be so gentle. They're fragrance-free. They don't contain the bad alcohols. They're not drying like a lot of the BHAs for acne that are like in toner form. You might find, based on how your skin responds, that your skin does better when you separate applications of BHA and Differin. In that instance, since you have indicated that you prefer applying Differin cream at night, and I don't blame you because those prescription products don't tend to have the most elegant textures in terms of working well under makeup or sunscreen, then you could apply the BHA product in the morning and your Differin cream at night. It can also be acceptable to alternate days. You might find that you get great results, especially after you've been using Differin for a while and you're in what I would call maintenance mode. And some people do this with like allergy medicines where like you don't take your allergy pill every single day. You'd find that like every other day keeps things under control. Whatever works, you need to experiment. So you have 3 options there, and let me know which one works best for you. Okay, next question from Iraka113. Hi, Bryan. I love PC. Woohoo! I was wondering if you had any recommendations for dealing with sebaceous hyperplasia. That skin condition is the bane of Paula's existence. She still struggles with those. Generally speaking, that particular concern, and it's related to the oil gland malfunctioning, it is more common with age. It is more common as we get older and accumulate more sun damage, which is exactly what Paula is dealing with. As much as Paula talks about the importance of sunscreen, and of course she wears it every day, there was a good chunk of her early years in the 70s and 80s where she wasn't. In fact, what is it, Paula's first or second book, if you ever find a copy of that, it's The Blue Eyeshadow Should Be, it was a reprint of Blue Eyeshadow Should Be Illegal. I think it was published in 1986. Paula is tan on the cover. Tan. It's not makeup. She's tan. Back then we didn't know. And not only, even if we had known what we know today about the importance of sunscreen and sun protection, the sunscreens that were available back in the mid-80s were awful. Pretty much all of them lacked UVA protection, which meant you were going to tan because the UVA rays triggered tanning. And you would be hard, if you found SPF above 8, SPF 8, you were probably looking at something that would be thick enough for a lifeguard. I mean, nobody wore SPF 15, unless they were just incredibly, incredibly pale. And they were hard to find. So, having said that, the best solution for sebaceous hyperplasia, and it's not fun and it hurts. How much it hurts depends on your dermatologist's skill and your tolerance for pain, and whether there's numbing cream involved, but you need to have those treated by a dermatologist. That is the single best way to keep them under control. The frustrating aspect is they will come back. Probably not the same ones you've had treated, but you will get more of them. What you can do skincare-wise that will help discourage them from reappearing and could make them a bit less of an issue in terms of size and severity is regular use of a BHA exfoliant. In particular, for spot treating, I would recommend our BHA 9. Again, it is not a cure-all. It's really more about visibly reducing the signs of sebaceous hyperplasia. The ultimate solution is to go to your dermatologist, find a good one, and know that you will be going back for more. And you know what? As we get older, all of us have issues like that we need to find a good dermatologist for. I go in at least once a year, usually twice, for skin cancer checks. I have some moles, I'm fair-skinned, I got some sunburns when I was little. I'm at risk, and I know that even though I've been really good about sun exposure and not tanning for 25 plus years, I still take that into consideration. And then you get those fun little red dots on your skin, which are called cherry hemangiomas. Those are more common in people with light complexions like me, or who've had extra sun exposure. And you got to go to a dermatologist to get those things taken care of too. So you're not alone. Okay. Anna says, hi Bryan, have you tried the new PC wipes? What do you think about skincare devices such as PMD and jade roller massages? Didn't we after this last week? I'm getting some deja vu here. But maybe it was just the same topic, different person asking the question. So let's go one by one. I have tried the new PC wipes. I like them. I think that they are effective for their intended purpose. Having said that, I am not a cleansing cloth / wipe type person. I much prefer a classic cleanser and the whole splashing water, towel drying thing. I am also not somebody who would say that I'm lazy about washing my face. I look forward to it twice a day. I have my routine. I do it even if I'm really tired. So I won't personally be using these products, the new gentle cleansing cloths, but I can absolutely guarantee you that they work for their intended purpose. They are gentle. They are hydrating. They're soothing. What I'm particularly impressed with is the cloth that we were able to source. It is a rayon mix derived from bamboo, and it's very soft and very sturdy. So you can kind of nicely use both sides of it and not feel like it's fraying or balling up or falling apart. It also doesn't have that weird texture to it that some cleansing cloths I've tried in the past do, where you want to be gentle on your skin, especially if you're doing any sort of a rubbing or wiping motion. And some of these cloths with the little nubby texture they built in, I've seen you can be more gentle on your floor with like one of those floor cleaning cloths. don't do that to your face. Our cloths are very soft and smooth, strong. They hold up well. I would liken them to MAC wipes. Um, Ours don't have fragrance, and it's a different formulary technology, but in terms of the general softness and robustness of the cloth. Okay, so next question was about the skincare devices. The PMD device, the microdermabrasion device that has different settings and different abrasive heads that you attach to the device and you roll it over your face. I do not like them. I think they are too harsh, too aggressive, even when you're using the lowest setting and the supposedly gentlest rotating head. I would much prefer to see you use higher strength AHA or BHA leave-on exfoliants and or see a medical professional or a esthetician who is authorized to do AHA or BHA peels. I think you will get more bang for your buck that way. They're overall gentler and you will see better results. In terms of the Jade roller massagers, or PMD for that matter, making serums penetrate deeper into the skin. The Jade rollers, I mean, you're kind of doing that pushing of the ingredients into the skin. But for the most part, if you're using a well-formulated serum, the ingredients that need to penetrate are going to be able to get through. They're formulated to do that. That's our formulary approach with serums that we sell from Paula's Choice. I have to imagine other brands who are making good serums, like Clinique and Estee Lauder, for example, Dr. Dennis Gross. I'd like to give them the benefit of the doubt that they know a thing or two about what they're doing in terms of ingredient penetration and concentration and all of that. The other concern I have in terms of penetration, and this also harkens or lines up with microneedling devices, those derma rollers, you know, some companies sell those and they poke little tiny holes in the skin, and the whole theory is that, you know, those bioactive ingredients go even deeper into the skin. Yes, they probably do, but the question is, do you want them to? And do you want to force that versus letting it happen on its own as it was intended to by the formulator? And then second to that is the fact that there are certain ingredients, such as antioxidants, that really work. They of course, they work within the skin, you know, when they absorb into the uppermost layers, but you want some to remain on the surface to protect from the oxygen that we really can't get away from, and other environmental influences that bombard the surface first. Keeping your surface intact, keeping it smooth and healthy, it's your skin's first line of defense. That's why I'm nervous about devices like the PMD and microneedling derma rollers, because they really make that, by the act of using them, there's a good chance that they make your skin's barrier more vulnerable to external aggressors. So it's a push-pull. You could argue that, well, but it's letting my retinol get deeper into the skin, and it's letting the niacinamide and vitamin C and so on and so forth. And while that may be happening, you're also leaving your surface more vulnerable. It's kind of like, you know, you've got a completely fenced-in yard thinking it's going to contain your dog, but somebody constantly leaves that gate open, and it's just enough room for your dog to escape. So, no, if that keeps happening, does it really matter that you have a fenced yard? Why have the fence at all? Okay, Das Medium says, hi, has there been any research on how to restore subcutaneous fat in the face? Getting some complicated questions today, you guys. Subcutaneous, referring to below deck, below the skin. The very, very lowest layer of skin is called the hypodermis, which is where that layer of subcutaneous fat resides. It is largely responsible for giving our skin some of its shape and buoyancy and pliancy. Of course, other structures like collagen and elastin occur as well, or contribute to that as well. That really is not my area of expertise. That's more of a cosmetic surgeon or dermatologist question. I know from looking at some past research on the topic of dermal fillers that the use of fat, basically putting, because that fat starts to atrophy, it starts to sag and whatnot through the passage of time, gravity, bone loss, all of those things that happen with age. The research on using fat as dermal filler hasn't been as encouraging or deemed as safe as more conventional dermal type fillers, such as those built around the various thicknesses of hyaluronic acid. So yeah, not really my area of expertise. I'm sorry, but I'm sure one of the sites you could check out to get some the type of information that I'm just not able to provide is called realself.com. It's kind of like a community forum type site that is frequented by people who are interested in various cosmetic corrective and surgical procedures, but it has a strong medical oversight and involvement. Different doctors, surgeons, and whatnot chime in with their information, their opinions on what people are asking about. So check them out. I like realself.com. They kind of complement what we do in a way. Valeria. Hi, Bryan. I'm using 20% azelaic acid and differin to treat melasma. Any tips on how to reduce the irritation and skin peeling? Separating use. Those are both topical pharmaceutics. Separating use by putting one on in the morning and one on at night would be my first tip. You could also try, you're based on the research I've seen, azelaic acid and adapalene for discolorations, which melasma is a widespread type of, usually brought on by sun damage, but it could also be hormonally influenced. Sometimes melasma is referred to as the mask of pregnancy. There is more research on the benefit of azelaic acid than there is for adapalene or for other topical retinoids for that matter, with the exception of tretinoin, which is Retin-A. Now, maybe you've tried that in the past and it was your reaction to it was even worse. So your doctor switched you to different. It is known to be more tolerable. However, if separating usage isn't working for you, I would suggest talking to your doctor about just dropping down to azelaic acid. And then skincare wise, out of the pharmaceutical range, try applying a higher strength vitamin C product along with your prescription azelaic acid product. The brightening and sun damage improving benefits of a higher strength vitamin C product could be just the boost your skin needs to really get to where you want it to be. There's a couple of products in our line you could look at, our C15 Super Booster or the C25 Booster. The 25 Booster is really more of a spot cream, and it's better for those smaller areas. But the C15 Super Booster is a liquid that you can apply a thin layer all over, and then you can follow with your azelaic acid product or vice versa, and then the rest of your routine. So let me know if that solution helps you, because melasma can be incredibly stubborn to get rid of, and you often need to take a multi-ingredient approach, which you're already doing, but what we don't want to have happen or keep happening is that kickback you're getting where your skin is getting more and more sensitive and peely and flaky and gross. We don't want to trade one problem for another. So hope that helps. Zara says, hi, Bryan. Do I need to use an exfoliant under the Polystrate azelaic acid plus BHA products? No, you do not need to. You might find that it's helpful, but you don't need to. Also, are powders and sprays with chemical sunscreens a good way to touch up over makeup? Powders and sprays with chemical sunscreens. I'm assuming by chemical sunscreens you're talking about avobenzone, octinoxate, oxybenzone. I know I've said this before, but all sunscreen ingredients are chemicals. I know we like to call the synthetic ones chemicals, and the titanium dioxide and zinc oxide we refer to as natural or mineral. They are mineral derived, mineral based. They come from the earth, but the process that turns those into effective, cosmetically elegant sunscreen ingredients is anything but natural. And in their final state, it really isn't accurate to call either one of those ingredients natural. And you would not want to put pure zinc oxide from the earth on your face. Trust me. Yeah, but that's fine. Yeah, and they are a good way to touch up over makeup as long as the base formula isn't one that is going to damage your makeup in terms of like wrecking its finish. Then it's fine. And alcohol-based sprays over makeup, actually not so bad as long as you take care to close your eyes, don't breathe it in, let it dry. Reason I'm saying that is because if you have a nice layer of makeup over your skin and you're spraying an alcohol-based sunscreen spray, the alcohol is going to evaporate and burn off or dry up before it can get through the makeup and damage your skin. So the sunscreen ingredients get deposited, the alcohol evaporates. Different story when you're using like an alcohol-based toner after you've just washed your face. Nihan1 says, I've had the best experience with your UK customer service today. I called about a mistake in my order. I received a different product than I ordered. I love our UK team. We will be seeing them later this month. In fact, I leave on Sunday for the European tour. So that is great to know. Elsinore from the UK team was super helpful. Sorted everything out in no time, and my missing product is already on its way. Best customer service experience I've ever had. And then, okay, they're going on to ask questions. Okay, but that is so wonderful. I love hearing that. We strive for that. One of the things that I personally love about our UK team, and I've met several of them, is they are so earnestly dedicated to Paula and the Paula's Choice brand, and they're so excited to be able to offer these products in the UK market. And the response that we've gotten there is phenomenal. I've been thrilled. I did not expect, as much as I love our products and I know what goes into them and I use them, I didn't expect us to get such a warm reception in the UK. They're picky, and there's a lot of good brands there, and there's a lot of skincare influencers there that are vying for the attention of UK consumers. So the fact that our little US brand was able to cross the pond and make such a big splash is just really cool. So now for Nyan1 SKB's question. I'm 31 with dry skin. I'm noticing some changes in my under eye area. Not atypical. Puffiness, dark circles, fine lines. The most worrying are the diagonal creases forming on top of my cheek under eyes. Am I getting under eye bags? How to stop it? You're probably not getting under eye bags yet. However, if you have a genetic tendency toward aging that way and looking around at other people in your family, if you're seeing people who are 10, 12, 15 years older than you, essentially having a more exaggerated version of your concern, chances are good that that's the road you're headed down as well. I don't mean that to sound bleak, because there are certainly things you can do. Number one would be daily use of a sunscreen. The eye area, incredibly vulnerable to sun damage. Sunglasses are important. I know you guys don't get a lot of sun in the UK. We don't get a heck of a lot of sun here in Michigan, but this is as good a time as any to stress that sun damage and sun exposure is really more about UV light exposure to daylight. So even if it's dreary and cloudy and gray, which it often is here, and I know it can be that way in much of England, that cloud cover that just seems to give everyone that lovely pallor, and I've got it going on here too. The UV rays are still getting through. They're still damaging your skin cumulatively every day. So I know it's easy to live in an environment like that and think, oh, I don't need sunscreen unless I'm on holiday, or that brief window of time in the UK where we get a lot of sun. You do. You need it every day because that exposure adds up and the skin has a long memory for the damage. It's not too soon for you to start using an eye cream or an eye gel. We have a couple of them. Lots of other brands sell those types of products. Just avoid the ones in jars and avoid the ones that make silly claims. Anything that sounds like it's better than a cosmetic corrective or surgical procedure is lying to you. There's a lot a good eye cream can do, but it's not going to replace Botox. It's not going to replace what dermal fillers can do when you start getting that more hollowed look because of changes happening beneath the skin. Sun protection, a good eye cream. In terms of the fine lines and those creases that you're seeing, I think you would also do well using one of our retinol products. And I would suggest starting with the Resist Intensive Wrinkle Repair Retinol Serum, which you can apply all over your face. So at night, you can apply that serum, do about a pump or two, start like in the cheek area, kind of move it around the orbital bone. It's very silky. You can take it down the neck, put it on the upper chest area if you want to, and then follow with our eye cream. Now I'm going to suggest the Resist Anti-Aging Eye Cream for you because it's so rich and buttery and hydrating. And it has a nice mix of ingredients that are specific to the needs of the under eye area, particularly in regards to those more irksome lines, wrinkles, and that under eye darkness. I'm not going on record to say it's going to get rid of your dark circles. We don't play that game. Dark circles are very difficult to get rid of. You can expect a cosmetic improvement. You may see some brightening and some slight diminishment in the darkness. But that's about the extent of it. But there's still a lot of other good stuff happening. I know it can be tricky when a brand is that honest, because there are so many other brands saying they do even more than that, and we so want to believe it, and it's often very compelling, but more often than not along with me, we're disappointed, and especially when we spend a lot of money for products like that. And you can spend upwards of $200 on certain eye creams claiming to get rid of dark circles and still be left with dark circles, which is not only frustrating, it's depressing. All right, moving on. Okay. Trying not to double up because there's a lot of questions and we've got about 25 minutes left. Andrea Didya says, should you stop using retinol or acids when spring, summer comes, even if you're wearing SPF 30 or greater during the day? No, not at all. If you're asking because you typically like getting a tan in the spring and summer, you're talking to the wrong guy, because I will never encourage tanning, and I will always encourage you to avoid that accidental oopsie tan that can come when you're out in the sun for a longer period of time. And how do you do that? Protective clothing, hat, sunglasses, reapplying your sunscreen more often, even more often than you think you might need to. I get that it can be a pain in the butt, not very fun, but it is the surefire way to save your skin and still have fun in the sun. And it sure beats, spending your entire warm weather season indoors or under cover because you're worried about your skin. So there's a balance, of course, but yeah. If you are traveling to an environment in the summer where the sunlight and the heat is more intense, and I'll give an example. When I still lived in Washington, I took my first trip to Hawaii for a wedding. And we went to Maui, and it was beautiful. And the wedding was on the beach, and it was all very what I imagined a Hawaiian wedding would be like. And I loved that I could actually be barefoot and wearing super casual clothes. And I used a lot of hairspray because it was windy. But I digress. I was bowled over by how strong the sun felt there. I remember I left we got there later in the afternoon, so it wasn't as intense. And then before I knew it, it was nighttime. And so that was kind of like my first outdoor exposure once we got settled. The following morning, it was around maybe 6:30. I got up, and the hotel we were staying at, you had to walk across this courtyard to get to the area where they were serving the buffet breakfast. I don't like buffets, but when in Rome. And I remember stepping out of the hotel lobby to cross the courtyard, and you just got hit by this wave of heat at 6:30 in the morning. And this is the most intense sun I've ever felt. The whole story is to say that if that is sounds like someplace you will be experiencing as the weather warms up, then I would consider using your AHAs and BHAs a little less often because they can make skin more sun sensitive. You absolutely want to step up your sunscreen game too. Go from an SPF 30 to an SPF 50, maybe consider using an all-mineral formula, and absolutely apply more than you think you need. Don't put on your usual daily amount of sunscreen, like what worked for me in Seattle, even Seattle in the summer, and they do get some there, would not fly that exact same time of year in Maui. It just wouldn't, not for this pale skin guy. So there you go. What else? Moisturizer. Katie is asking if we're going to reformulate Hydrolite SPF 30 since it was originally the hand cream. Our synthetic sunscreens really are polluting the oceans and reefs. These are very thought-provoking questions. We're not planning on reformulating Hydrolite. Those products and the Moisture Boost products are considered Paula's Choice legacy products. They're all older formulas that we have in our line because there's a certain subset of our customers that really, really like using them. And when we took them away, they got very upset. And I use some of those products, the Moisture Boost Cleanser being one of them. My husband uses the Moisture Boost SPF 30 product. So we're glad that they're still around. And I was one of those people that was kind of bummed when I found out they were going away, but I understood time and formulary technology marches on. But for that reason, Katie, we are not reformulating that product. It did start as the hand cream, and we got such strong feedback from people who are using the hand cream, not on their hands, but on their face, that it didn't take long for us to realize we mismarketed this product. Because honestly speaking, in terms of sun protection, a sunscreen is a sunscreen is a sunscreen, no matter what part of the body it says it's for. Now, there are other ingredients that are added to different sunscreen formulas based on where they're intended to be used. In the case of the Hydrolite product, which started as a hand cream, it was already, like an overbuilt product, an over-formulated product for the hands. So we never felt that we were compromising or shortchanging our customers by turning it into a facial moisturizer with sunscreen. It was already at that level. But is it at the same level as some of our newer facial SPFs? No. We're keeping it around because people like you and many others still like using it, and we want to make you happy. Okay, and then you asked if are synthetic ingredients really polluting the oceans and reefs? They are. However, and that's not good news, it's definitely cause for concern, but there are a ton of things polluting the oceans and reefs. Sunscreen ingredients are but one. This can quickly turn into a complicated discussion, but the 30-second clip is that it is a larger issue. It isn't just sunscreen ingredients that are to blame for this. There are issues with various ingredients. There are issues with wastewater treatment, with sewage, other drug residues that get into the ocean. It's just multifactorial, which is why I'm not necessarily in favor of banning certain sunscreen chemicals because of the threat they pose. I think it's more about responsible use and consumer education, i.e. if you are going to be going into the ocean, wear sunscreen with only these actives. And separate from that, what happens when you wash that off your skin and then it goes down drains, and where does that wastewater go and how is that handled? So again, bigger discussion. And then she's also asking if PC would ever formulate a cloud textured moisturizer. I always answer these questions with never say never, because we are looking at several different textures for upcoming moisturizers, and that is but one of them. I do think the technology behind that is kind of cool. Gianna says, will the 2% BHA liquid help with fine lines and wrinkles? Absolutely. The manner in which it refines skin, the manner in which it improves skin texture, the manner in which it hydrates, simply getting rid of that built-up layer of dead surface skin is automatically going to reduce the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, because in much the same way that getting rid of a callus on your foot, the fine lines and creases you see when you look at your skin through that callus, all of that goes away when that callus is removed and you're seeing the fresh, healthy, newer, smooth skin underneath. If you look really closely, you can still see, the fine lines and wrinkles in your foot. They're just natural part of the skin, but they look a heck of a lot better than they did when that callus was there. So yes. Haley says, I absolutely love the Omega Complex Serum. I do too. I have to be careful about how much I use that because I notice it tends to make me break out a little bit. That's just me, but otherwise I love what it does to the skin. I do notice that after it's been open for a week or so, it starts to smell rancid. Do you know the reason for this? It shouldn't do that based on how it's packaged. If we were a company that used jar packaging for that type of formula, yes, but the omega-3 fatty acids, the plant oils in there, those are delicate ingredients, and in the wrong packaging, they are prone to rancidity. And because we don't use fragrance, including masking fragrances, when something like that starts to happen in a fragrance-free formula, you're going to notice it much sooner because you don't have that cloying, sweet, or floral fragrance that's covering everything up. Talk to our client services team. Unless you're like unscrewing the top of it and taking the dip tube out and using it that way and pushing air into the product, the formula shouldn't be doing that. I haven't noticed it with mine, so give them a call and they should be able to help you with an exchange, send you a new one. And you should not need to send the old one back, but they might ask you to do that so they can check it out, and it would be on our dime, or at least it should be. Cassie says, hi, Bryan. Thanks for these chats. What's the best way to exfoliate lips? AHA, BHA, general washcloth, any specific product recommendations? Thanks. Yeah, like Paula will say she uses her BHA liquid on her lips, but that's personal choice. It's not necessarily something I would recommend. I think it can be a little bit too much. Technically, lips are, they're a part of the skin, but they're also a mucous membrane. They have a very thin layer of skin over them. It's, lips have quite a different anatomical structure than the surrounding skin. So they're more delicate, they're more sensitive. We know this. What I use, let me just start there. What I use to exfoliate my lips is a soft cotton washcloth dampened with warm water. And I just put my fingertip over the washcloth and very lightly go in circles. Every now and then, maybe it'll be like the dead of winter and my lips are really super flaky because I haven't been good about reapplying the lip balm. And it's right here in my desk drawer. The Paula's Choice Lip and Body Treatment Balm. This is my best friend. It's all over the house. Love that lip balm. I wish we could put it in a tube so you could take it with you and use it more easily on the go. Not possible with that formula. I've mentioned that before. It sucks because we just can't put it in a stick. It won't hold together. Every now and then I will do a DIY sugar scrub for my lips. And a concoction that I did last winter was I take like maybe a 1/4 teaspoon of regular white table sugar. I mix in a few drops of our Moisture Renewal Oil Booster in the palm of my hand. I make a little paste consistency, almost like how those sugar scrubs for the body look in the jar. And then I dampen my lips and very lightly go over the area with my fingertip using light pressure. Don't press really hard. You don't want to get aggressive. It shouldn't feel gritty. But as you move the sugar around the lips you get them wet first, the sugar will start to dissolve, which is your sign that you can stop the massaging action. You can very gently rinse it off with a washcloth or water. If you get some of the sugar or even some of the plant oils, because they're all non-volatile, non-fragrant, if some of that gets into your mouth, it's not a big deal. I mean, sugar tastes good. So those are my best tips. You don't need to go out and get a special lip scrub or a special lip exfoliant. They're out there, and there's some okay ones if you want kind of a ready-made option. But for those, unless your lips are chronically dry, flaky, and you don't want to do all that mixing all the time, don't bother. Skincare 30 Plus says new sunscreen coming this summer. When? This summer? Do we have a sunscreen in the works? We are working on some various SPF products, but we do not have one scheduled for launch this summer. It's kind of a joke around the office, although the sunscreen use definitely goes up in the summer, particularly in the United States and other parts of the world where summer is traditionally sunnier and hot, and we're wearing less clothing because we want to stay comfortable outdoors. But the joke around our office is that we have never launched a sunscreen in the summer, like in the United States, and this was more when we weren't such a global brand, but when at that time of year when so many US and Canadian consumers, for that matter, are looking for them. We've stood by our messaging that sunscreen, sun protection is important year round, and then we'll launch a new sunscreen in October or November or February. And they depending on the product, they may or may not do as well, but they eventually do, find their way, and people end up really liking them. But I think that we do have an SPF product in the works that's coming out later this year. I think a lot of you are really going to love it. It is for the face. And I will stop right there, but nothing this summer. Not sunscreen wise. Is the new peptide booster safe for pregnancy and nursing? This is Carlene asking. From everything I have seen, I would say yes. Um, my sister is pregnant right now with her third, and if she said, "Can I use a peptide booster?" I would say yes. However, just to be on the safe side, it's always a good idea to run any skincare product beyond the really, really basic ones like soap, water, witch hazel, but don't use witch hazel. Just an example of a basic skincare product. Always ask your doctor, the one who's overseeing your pregnancy, or a dermatologist, that would be fine too, for his or her take on that. But peptides aren't in the same type of a class of ingredients that you should be concerned about using during pregnancy, like hydroquinone and retinol. So that's why I feel that's what I would feel comfortable telling my sister, sure, go ahead. But in your case, do check with your doctor. Oh, I think, Skincare 30 Plus, I think, may have referred to me as Ryan, which is fine. I'll answer to that. But yes, it's Brian. Isabert says, hi, Brian, are there any EU-only PC products that you use or would recommend? There's none that I currently use, because they're kind of a pain to get. When we make, there's a couple of products, there's some products we make for the EU market that are not for retail sale. They're professional use only, and they're sold to estheticians. And then there's one, the Resist Skin Transforming Multi-Correction Treatment that we export, and we get some lab retains in our office, but we don't have any other product like for employees to just take home and use, or there isn't like some secret backdoor of the site where you can purchase these EU-only products if you're an employee, which is why I don't use them. But the products that I love and that I use the most are available here in the States and in most global markets, so that works for me. Tara says, is there anything I can do about keratosis pilaris? I use the BHA body lotion, but is there anything else that I can do? Yes, there is. If you're not getting great results from the BHA body lotion, you can try an AHA body lotion, even though in theory, because of how those bumps form and how we know BHA, salicylic acid, works, BHA should have a more marked visible improvement in those bumps than AHA. But for whatever reason, some people's KP responds better to AHA. We have the skin revealing body lotion with 10% AHA. There are other AHA body lotions on the market. You could look into something a bit more basic like Lachydrin, which is available in most drugstores. It's 5, and I think there's a 12% lactic acid concentration. I'd try the 12, given it sounds like your KP may be a bit on the stubborn side. Another thing that you can do is double up and use an AHA and a BHA body lotion, or exfoliant. It doesn't have to be a product that says body, on the affected areas and see what happens. In some cases, stubborn KP needs the help of a dermatologist, and you do want to give it some time. Those bumps take a while to form, and they can take a while to go away. Carlene, did we answer a Carlene question? I think we did. But she's asking a fast one. Can I use the Paula's Choice Hair and Body Shampoo as a face cleanser for oily skin? Absolutely. Why not? Let's see. Irisling 1 says, I have combo skin, debating between Superlight Daily Wrinkle Defense SPF 30 and Hydrolite Daily Mineral Complex SPF 30. Please help. They're both really good for combo skin. If you have very light skin, the tint that is in the Superlight Daily Wrinkle Defense may be too dark for you. That's been a fairly consistent complaint of people who have lighter skin. For my light skin, that product's tint is a bit borderline for me. It isn't that the tint was only added to offset the white cast from the 18% zinc oxide that sunscreen contains. And it definitely leaves a visible white cast, because I've tried a version of that formula when we were developing it without a tint, and that's pretty much what led almost all of us to say, we love everything about this product, how it feels, how silky, and yada, 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 but it needs some color. or everyone's going to hate us because it makes them look like a corpse. So we tinted it. The Hydrolite is a different formulary technology. It isn't tinted. It doesn't have as much zinc oxide. It's a mix of zinc and titanium. They're so close in many respects in terms of texture and benefits for oily skin in terms of not being shiny, not feeling greasy or slick. I think you should sample them. Call our client services team, ask them to send you a couple of samples, tell them you asked me about it on the live chat, and I said that these are complimentary samples because you're vacillating, and I get it. So I think once you have an opportunity to put them both on your face and experience them, the decision will be obvious. But having said that, I still can't tell you right now what your decision will be. Okay, Science says, what sunscreens do you recommend for acne-prone skin? I did try Paula's Choice sunscreen, but they all break me out. I hate this problem because it can be so frustrating. The other aspect and why I always stumble a bit on this question is because there isn't an easy answer. There isn't like ABC product I can say, oh, try this. That'll do it. What I can tell you is that as a general rule, when you have acne, the thinner the texture of the sunscreen, the less likely it will be to trigger breakouts. The thickening agents, sometimes wax-like ingredients or film-forming agents that can feel heavier, some of the heavier-feeling polymers. For some people, that can trigger or exacerbate their acne. Obviously, that's not the goal. The more thin fluid sunscreens have either none or far fewer of those ingredients, and their viscosity, their thickness is such that they're more like water on the skin. They deposit the active ingredients for sun protection. They give you those hydrating ingredients that are lighter weight in nature and then just kind of get out of the way. You might want to try, Neutrogena makes several liquidy type sunscreens that come in the smaller bottles that you kind of have to shake up. Clinique has one in their Pep Start line, although that's a mineral-based formula and it's kind of glowy. It really gives you a glow, not because it's oily, but because they actually added mineral pigments to give you that radiance. I think it's, on my skin, I've tried that one just to see, and it's like, that's just too much shine. You might feel differently, so don't let my experience stop you from trying what is otherwise a good product in terms of sun protection. SkinCeuticals has those types of products as well, and so does Peter Thomas Roth. So those are just a few brands, since if you've run the gamut of SPF options for your skin type from us and haven't been happy, that's where I would steer you next. Got about 5 minutes left. So let's see here. Paula says, hi, Bryan, you look radiant today. What is your daytime and nighttime skincare routine? Oh, thank you. Oh, my. Let me do a really, really quick rundown. Daytime skincare routine, I am washing with the Moisture Boost One-Step Cleanser. I follow with the Resist Advanced Replenishing Toner. If I'm on the morning that I shave with a razor, because I go back and forth between razor and the battery-powered. Today I did the battery-powered. I use the PC for Men's Shave, and then the toner. And then I put on our new peptide booster, which I've been using for quite some time and really, really like that. I follow with... depending on the day and how my skin is, I'll either use the Skin Balancing Invisible Finish Moisture Gel all over, or our Calm Redness Relief Serum, or, again, I've got a little wardrobe going here, or sometimes I'll put on the Hyaluronic Acid Booster over the Peptide Booster, and then I finish with my sunscreen, which is the SkinCeuticals Physical Fusion SPF 50. Now, today, because I'm on camera, I did a little concealer, I did a little powder. I also, before I go on camera, I always do some Shine Stopper on my T-zone because I love the results from that and prefer controlling breakthrough shine that way versus constantly powdering, which I find just builds up too much product no matter how sheer I try to be. At night, same cleanser. I follow with the same toner. Nighttime is when I use one of our exfoliants, and I go back and forth between the Calm 1% BHA lotion, the Resist Advanced Smoothing Treatment with 10% AHA, or the Resist Advanced Pore Refining Treatment with 4% BHA. So those are kind of my heavy hitters that I rotate in. Some nights, if I want a little bit of a nudge, I will use the PC for Men Soothe and Smooth, which has 2% BHA. I'll use that in place of the 1% formula. Again, I alternate, but those are the ones I use most often in the rotation. And I will usually put the peptide booster on again at night, and then I'll either use the 1% retinol booster or the intensive wrinkle repair retinol serum, and I'll finish with the Resist Anti-Aging Eye Cream. Some nights, if I'm feeling if my cheeks in particular are a bit drier, I will either put on the Resist Intensive Repair Cream, which is kind of a heavier duty moisturizer that's got a bit of retinol in it, or our Radiance Renewal Mask, which has this really cool gel cream texture, feels kind of luscious and like comfortably thick on the skin, and you wake up super hydrated. That's it. I know it sounds like a lot, huh? But believe it or not, that routine doesn't take me too long. Feels like brushing and flossing at night takes a lot longer. Okay, a couple more. Nicholas says, hi, Bryan. Thanks for your kind answer last week about titanium dioxide. Peptide booster is available since yesterday in Europe, and I've ordered it today. Can't wait to try it. Cool. I hope you love it. I think it's one of our best products, and that's saying a lot. And I love how versatile that product is, how it's targeted toward a lot of concerns. I know we're emphasizing firmness, a visible increase in firmness on our website, and that is absolutely one of its top tier benefits, but it's formulated to do a lot more than that as well, and it works with any of our other boosters. So it's like if you're already using a couple of our boosters and liking the results, and you're like, you know, I kind of want to see what peptides would do for me, no reason not to add them, because you're not necessarily doubling up on results. In some respects, if we really kind of pick apart the formulas, you could say, yeah, you're doubling up, but it's doubling up in a good way, like going back and getting a second helping of steamed broccoli and saying no to that chocolate cake. Okay, one more question. Louis, let me answer Louis' question real quick. This is interesting, and then I'll get to one more. He's asking if or maybe it's Louis, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Do you think BHT as the second predominant ingredient in a tretinoin product is safe? If it really is the second ingredient, I would be concerned. BHT is an acronym for an ingredient, I think it's butylated hydroxytoluene, that is a preservative. And preservatives are typically needed in only low amounts in cosmetic emulsions and in creams. Why I think that ingredient is in second place is because for most pharmaceutical skincare products, you have your active ingredient, which in this case is tretinoin, or a retinoid, and then you have your inactive ingredients, and those are listed in alphabetical rather than in their descending order of concentration. So because BHT starts with B, the second letter of the alphabet, you're seeing it toward the top of the inactive ingredients, but if you were to look at the formula in descending order, I'll bet you it would be towards the bottom, probably in the last 3 or 4. So in this instance, I feel pretty confident in saying you do not need to be concerned. Okay, now we're really going to do the last question. Drum roll, please. Let's get something kind of interesting. Acne. Oh, it's a longer answer. If I don't get to your question, come back to the video, come back to the chat, and post it in the comment section, and I'll do my best to answer it. I've got some long flights ahead of me. Give me something to do. I don't want to watch 6 seasons of Will and Grace, or Friends, or that awful show with Sarah Jessica Parker and that other guy. Not Sex and the City. Don't disparage Sex and the City. There's plenty of new questionable Asian trends. This is from Norse, such as 10 seconds rule. A skincare product should be applied no later than 10 seconds after showering, otherwise it won't work properly. True. No, that's not true. I don't even know why that's a thing. I mean, 10 seconds after, so you're telling me that this advice, and I'm not coming down on you, I'm coming down on the myth. You're telling me that this advice is actually having people start slapping things on their skin, everything apparently that they're going to use within 10 seconds of showering, or it's all for naught. It's silly. Sunscreen certainly doesn't work that way. You can put sunscreen on 10 hours after you shower, and it's still going to protect your skin from the sun. I would say do it sooner if you know you're going outside. Same thing for AHA, same thing for BHA. Sometimes you'll see the advice in fashion magazines, for example, saying that you need to moisturize after your shower while your skin is still damp. And the advice goes on to say that putting that moisturizer on to damp skin seals in the water. And yeah, to a certain degree it does that, but water in and of itself doesn't moisturize skin. Think about how your skin feels when you've spent too long in a body of water. Not just a swimming pool, because it's too easy to say, well, the pool chemicals are drying, and they are. But like a lake or a river or another natural body of water, the ocean. When you get out of that water, does your skin feel hydrated, soft, supple? Chances are it either feels about the same as it did when you went in, or it feels drier. So, moisturizing or putting anything on in 10 seconds after you're done showering, if the thinking is just to seal in that water, skin needs more than water to stay intact, healthy, and hydrated. Unless you're showering in a sea of ceramides, it's just bad advice. So, okay, I'm going to wrap up there. I'm getting a little punchy, but it's been a great hour, and thank you guys, as always, for your questions, for hanging in, for showing up. This will be my last live chat until probably May 31st because of my travel schedule. So I will be away for a while, but rest assured that we're going to pick this back up again. As long as you guys are interested in it, I'm interested in being here talking to you. It just would be very tricky to do with our schedule over in Europe and the time difference and all that. So check us out again. Come back to our YouTube channel. Leave your comments, and I will see you at the end of the month. Same day of the week, same time, 11 a.m. West Coast time, Pacific time, and 2 p.m. East Coast time. And you can always come back and watch whenever. Until later. Bye.